It's September the 8th, 2023. I am at Joel Pearl. It's time to get in the weeds here on Fightful Overbooked. It's a busy weekend for me, and hopefully not for you, Jeremy Lambert, because I have an Impact show tonight to cover. But the good news is we're going to have some friends to come on and talk about it this morning. Very excited. 10:15 a.m. And I'm sure I'm going to say it again because it's very quickly approaching 10:15 a.m. It's about 8-9 minutes from now. Garrett Kidney is going to join us. We're going to talk Impact 1000, a little TNA history, and of course, we'll preview Victory Road. How's that? Jeremy Lambert, how the hell are you this morning?
I will not be watching Victory Road live tonight. I will be. I think you know what, Joel. This show, we're just going to cancel it today. NBA 2K is out. I would much rather be spending my time doing that, playing NBA 2K. So I think we don't have to cancel the show. You know, we've already booked Garrett. We like Garrett, so we won't cancel on him literally 10 minutes before he's supposed to join us. I will freeze. I'll do one of those like freeze frames where it looks like I'm here, my internet's like gone out or something, and I'm paying attention, but I don't actually talk. And then behind the freeze frame, I'll be playing NBA 2K this entire time. Do you think we can make that work?
I think you should use the photo you took of you with the cake on your face.
It's a good photo.
It is a good photo, and you should use that as your new everything, your new profile photo, your new background photo, whatever it is. Should be Jeremy's cake on face photo.
It's a good photo. Do you see the? Hold on, let me pull up the thumbnail that Gisberto did for us.
They did a good job. Got people talking.
Look at this.
Oh my goodness. That is a mugshot to end all mugshots.
It does look like a mug shot. It's something there. I was paying tribute to, you know, my hero Bryan Danielson and those behind the scenes, like after the show, after the match photos that they do, which I was very very proud of myself that I thought of doing before I got in the shower after the show on Monday. I was like, oh, you know, it's a good bit if I do one of those like behind the scenes photos after the match, and then here it is before I go shower all this off of me. So it pops some people, you know, that's what it's all about, popping the pals. So
Got me, we did that. Sure.
Yeah, we did that. We did good things there. All right, so you've asked me this, Joel. The wife has messaged me. I maybe people in the chat will ask, but before I'm gonna get ahead of it, everybody. 6 months without an incident. We've apparently been doing this show for 6 months, which I did not know. I think technically it's only 5 because we started at the beginning of April, right?
We started towards the end. I think we very hilariously tried to do it as close to 420 as possible. And it wasn't even, we didn't plan it. It was more just the timing of the announcement and everything else that we got pretty close to doing it on 420. Whenever Rebellion was, it was the night after, the day after Rebellion. That's when we went live for the first time.
Right. Okay. So yeah, because that's when Diana won the title. When was Impact Rebellion? Let's see here. Impact Rebellion was April 16th. So our first show was April 17th. So yeah, it was the middle. So not quite really 6 months. So it's not a reference to how long we've been doing this show. It's a reference to apparently the Observer report that the Young Bucks would talk to CM Punk if he went 6 months without causing any trouble. And old Philip couldn't go 2. So, you know, he missed it by that much there. Just missed it by that much.
Shouldn't have been that BTE bit. Really got his lawyers on that for some reason.
Do you think if Philip knew that he had to go 6 months without like an incident, he could have been on his best behavior for 6 months? It's like you know, the children. We have children. Joel, yours isn't old enough to do these things.
He's getting there.
Yeah, sometimes you got to tell him like, hey, if you're good until your birthday, we'll get you this type of thing. And so like they just know they got to hit that goal of like, oh, okay, my birthday is in 3 months. My birthday is in 2. Like they just got to be able to do it for that long. And then they get to the birthday and they get the gift that they want. And then, you know, they act a fool again, as kids do. So could CM Punk go 6 months if he knew like, hey, 6 months, man, you can get this meeting, the reward system, basically the reward system. And CM Punk, if he knew about it, then maybe he could do it. But I don't think he knew. I don't think he was told. You gotta clue people in on the reward system. You can't have a secret reward system. I think that's unfair.
Well, no, the secret reward system was assault the EVPs and come back in a few months after you've healed from your injuries with your own television program. We've already established this. I had a teacher. It was my 5th grade teacher. Her name was Madame Colhane. Yes, that's right. I went through French immersion.
I using shoot names here. Hold on.
She's long retired and quite honestly possibly dead. But either way,
wow,
it's possible. Listen, she was old when I was 10, and I am now older than that. I think my brain is different from my body, but anyway, she used to give us I was like, docs, I don't care. She good luck. She used to give us rewards for different things in class, as I think a lot of teachers do. I think most people will have a story about that. But she would give us hockey cards. And I was thinking about that the other day. She would come around, and they were probably, because she was a collector as far as we understood, and she would give us like her, not so important cards. But I would always pick like the Hartford Whaler cards because I like the colors of the jerseys and everything. And I'm sure that that helped me get through school, and it helped me be a good student. I don't know about that with CM Punk.
Yeah, I think he could have done it. I think he could have, through gritted teeth, just not said anything for 6 months. If he knew that he could get the meeting in 6 months, I think he could. I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, no, he'd go out there, one of those promos, and he'd have to take his shot and everything. The fact that he was like going through BTE and any like perceived reference what he thought was a shot. Wait, apology? Hold on. What do you mean they're mentioning an apology? This has to be about me. The apology out here. This is definitely about me. He's so vain. He thinks every BTE skit is about him. Yeah. Now that I think about it, I don't know if he could actually do it. I was trying to give Philip the benefit of the doubt. I don't know.
I mean, there's 180 some odd days in a 6-month period. Could you imagine if we get to like day 100 and let's say it's 183. We get to day 182 and he ends up on Dynamite and he just says something and the Bucks are just like, oh, so close. No cigar. And then they just walk off and that's it. But the BTE thing, it's funny because all I could think about was like Punk and the lawyers gathered around this like 12-inch laptop screen watching the show and being like, oh, I don't like the way this Ryan Nemeth is walking the line on the SAG-AFTRA strike. Is that a shot at me? Is that April in the background with him? That's a shot. We gotta mark it down. Write it down. Jerry, I don't care. Mark it down. And meanwhile, the lawyers are just like, God, we're gonna bill him double. Oh man, I don't know. Maybe he should just change his name to Litigious Punk.
That could work, right? That could work. I'm very interested if and when he gives his response to all of this, because we're approaching a week now that he's gotten released, terminated. Arnold. We're approaching a week now, and nothing from him. So we will see if something comes out. Maybe it's a slow weekend. No, there's the Impact events tonight, Victory Road. They're taping Impact 1000 tomorrow night. But otherwise, no big WWE AEW events. Let's see if Philip wants to make some waves here.
Listen, if CM Punk is the storyteller that he claims he is, the long-term storyteller, and I know you're listening, Phil, because we're implicating your name in a podcast. I know you've got the lawyers watching. It's fine. Wait until Thanksgiving weekend and drop the podcast.
Oh man.
Really just set the shit sandwich on fire.
Who does he do? Who does he do the podcast with? I mean, he's welcome on this show if he'd like to come on this show.
He's welcome. I don't know if you'll want to after this whole conversation.
Yeah, well, I feel we're being nice to him, somewhat. No, he's welcome. Look, Sean has said it. I'm not breaking any news here about him speaking to Punk and everything. So there's a in some ways there. Yeah, people who are saying Kuhn, Nick Hausman, Denise. Oh, could you imagine Denise getting that interview? She deserves it. by the way. She deserves it, but
you
I
know,
don't know.
he'll go and get like Chris Van Vliet. He's gonna
See,
get
I'm thinking it's got to be a wrestler though, because the last one with Cabana was a wrestler. I don't know if it's gonna be. I guess the one he did at Starcast was with Mike Johnson, so he does have the previous relationship with Mike Johnson doing the Starcast one. See, I think you want to do the storytelling, Thanksgiving, and a wrestler, not a media person,
maybe. Oh, you know who you do? Cody Deaner. I'm gonna keep popping that podcast, and if he's gonna go to Impact, like everyone jumped on that Sean 30% comment, and I was just like, stop it. What do you like? Stop doing this. The percentage comments. This is, you know what this is, and all the love to Will Washington, but like this, a lot of this started when Will did the Mercedes Monet on Grapsity week after week percentage thing, and people took that as gospel. Don't do that again with CM Punk, and stop reporting the numbers. Stop reporting what people assume could happen. I get that Sean has broken incredibly accurate stories. That is what Fightful rests its laurels upon, except our show. But the reality is, stop. What do we do?
You say our show? Fightful rests its laurels on our show?
No. We I screwed up my own rant on that, didn't I? I'm delirious. We'll talk about that in a little bit, I'm sure. But yeah, we don't rest our laurels. We work very hard to get the stories right, is really what I'm getting at. We do the thing right, except for our show. That's what I was getting at. Everything's great except for us. That's the point I continuously try to make. When we have interviews, we care. But stop with the percentages. It just doesn't work.
People are saying Lars.
And then he would be on a Fightful podcast because it would end up being Wrestling Perspective, which drops on our channels.
Helwani's a good shout. That would be.
I think Sean had put that out there as well as a possibility.
Yeah, I saw, or I didn't see Helwani's possibility until the chat brought it up. Well, I saw Blade brought it up. Helwani's a good shout though. Of yeah. Oh, that'd be good. Oh, that's actually what I want now. We'll talk more about who Philip could join on a potential podcast, but we have the great Garrett Kidney backstage. So do the introduction, Joel. Be a professional.
I'm giving you this one because I am a big TNA Impact lover, but I know this one.
You are the Impact post-show person. What are we doing here?
This guy is like, I'm nervous. He just schools me in everything TNA Impact. So please, Jeremy, he's your pal. He's your best friend. I don't know Garrett the way you do. Do the intro.
I tried to bully him to beat you up when he was in Canada not too long ago. I hope he beats you up on this show. I hope he does bully you now. All right. I guess I could say from Impact Wrestling. I don't know. I don't get anybody in trouble here. The person who gives me all of my WWE scoops and gets me in trouble, as I will always take to the grave with me. You know him from Impact social media. You know him just on social media in general. He is Garrett Kidney. Garrett, how you doing, buddy?
Hello, friends. There's no reason to fight over me. Just like a 2-minute, like, you intro him. No, you intro him. Oh, he's so cool. Listen, I'm not that important.
I disagree, Garrett. You are the Impact historian, the absolute best just when it comes to Impact Wrestling. And I'm going to go ahead and address the immediate thing that everybody wants to know about ahead of Victory Road and Impact 1000. How do you get the social media clips up so quickly when something else happens in the world of wrestling?
People are like, how do they have... Do people not realize how fast you can send a tweet? Listen, to pat myself on the back, it's pretty fast. And I do have like a library that has like 7,000, I think, Impact clips of some variety just sitting on an external hard drive ready and waiting to use in any given moment. But even if I didn't, like the time it would take me to download the full episode, post it, and get it out would be about 7 or 8 minutes. That's assuming I don't have the clip. People, like, not to expose the business and be like, oh, tweets are actually really fast to send, you guys. It does require an extensive editorial process to go through. But yes, I do have an external hard drive that has, not including full shows, I think about 600 gigabytes worth of clips. And if you include the full shows, it's up to like 8 terabytes. Just waiting on my desktop to be used at, well, not desktop, external hard drive, to be used at any given moment when anything ever happens in the history of wrestling. And we all know everything can be traced back to TNA. Everything can be traced back to Impact. It's the invention of everything in the history of wrestling. So it's quite easy, actually.
Good God, the cockroach mentality continues to live forever and ever. The bomb goes off. What happens? Samoa Joe talked about it on like April 2006. Here's the clip. And there's no Twitter, there's no X, there's no Instagram. It's just Garrett with like written paperwork of this happening.
Playing the video on my like last 6% charge on an iPad to the 4 people who have survived the apocalypse. It's like, oh, look at this Samoa Joe Jeff Hardy match. I was actually thinking about doing, because MJF's promo was entirely just the Scott Steiner he's fat in just a more eloquent way. So I think you're just doing the Scott Steiner he's fat that night, but then the Jeff Hardy Samoa Joe match just fell right in my lap.
That's my favorite thing, is when like it can be taken as a TNA reference, but you make it a TNA reference anyway. Of like, yeah, this MJF promo calling Samoa Joe Doughboy. This is actually a reference to Scott Steiner. He's fat. It's like, you'll just take any little inkling of it. Like, this is actually a TNA reference. It's so good, so good.
You see, the bright side of Impact having now, as we come up next week, 1,000 episodes. That's a lot of episodes to draw from, upon which literally everybody in wrestling has appeared at one stage or another over those 1,000 episodes. So there is always something.
Yeah, you had Tommy Dreamer cutting a promo this past week. Yeah, but last night's show being like, The Simpsons hit 750 episodes and Impact's about to hit 1,000. And I'm a big Simpsons fan. I was just like, no way that's true. And it's accurate. And Impact 1,000 is shaping up to be a very interesting, fun card. And every time they announce something or a match or whatever it is, I'm like, is this a 3-hour show? Because it feels like you're about to announce a 3-hour show. It's very strange to me, but it's very exciting. How are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, not to go into the classic Jeff Jarrett, they said we wouldn't last a week. They said we would. But like, if you read The Observer at the time, oh no, I'm going to be a guy who gives out about Dave Meltzer in a podcast. What have I become? But
we just spent like the first 15 minutes doing a bit with it, so you're good.
It's what everybody descends to eventually. It's the I have become the Joker moment of wrestling podcasts, when you eventually give out about a thing Dave Meltzer said, because it's inevitable. We all get there. But if you read The Observer when Impact launched on FSN in 2004, it is very doom and gloom. It's like they're buying a time slot that can't possibly last. It's not going to survive. It's going to be their last hope before they go out of business. And here we are 19 years later on the verge of episode number 1,000. I think there's only 3 wrestling shows that have more than 1,000 episodes. I think it's Raw, SmackDown, and believe it or not, Bottom Line / Afterburn. Yes, Scott Stanford is still in that studio every week, still producing that clip show for international markets. Believe it or not, that's a thing that still happens. So there's not very many wrestling shows. Like WCW Monday Nitro had like 270 or something, didn't it? And now we're all the way to 1,000 episodes of Impact. 1,000 of them. That's so many episodes of Impact. It is like, it's a feat of television, not just pro wrestling television. Aside from like, you know, daily shows or talk shows or late night stuff that airs daily, there's not a lot of shows that get that high. It's usually like, you know, talk shows, soap operas, and that's about it in terms of episode counts that get over 1,000. And now Impact's about to hit 1,000. 1,000 episodes.
Pick your favorite one. Now you got to pick your favorite episode.
My favorite episode of Impact. I like it's funny, it was hated at the time. People detested it. But like the main event Mafia takeover episode is great fun. It's very stupid. Like Scott Steiner they're trying to pronounce the word Kongtaraj and ended up calling it Confucius. And that's the same show that has the classic Booker T commentating over his own run-in bit, and Chet Snow or Chet Lemon and Black Snow on commentary. So that's a fun episode for just being very, very silly. There's a lot of episodes that have like great moments. Like for me, the best moment in the history of the show is like the Kurt Angle debut. Like that moment, like that energy when he walks out there, he confronts Samoa Joe, there's the headbutt, there's Mike Tenay and Don West losing their absolute goddamn minds on commentary. There's the Impact Zone going crazy. There's 2 like generational stars facing off for the first time in a dream match people probably never thought was possible. Like that moment for me, that sticks out in my mind. But like, you know, wrestling in terms of full episodes is a weird thing, because obviously episodes of wrestling are, you know, usually 9 segments, maybe more. So sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't. I don't really think about full episodes a lot.
Don West, we unfortunately lost him, and I think you've said it. I think a lot of people have said it, but how good he would have been in this era. Look at that. how good he
My
would have
Don West
been.
microballer on the desk.
Love it.
How good he would have been in this era of like quick clips, quick quotes, and everything, because a lot of that stuff still lives. But like if he was doing it today when everything was just so quick, and you'd be posting it online immediately after it happened. Like it's very unfortunate. I'm glad Don West is now getting his flowers of like, yeah, this guy, because when he first got hired and everything, is like, oh, don't know about this. This is not working at all. And now he's getting his flowers of like, yeah, this guy actually brought a lot to the product, and it was just cool to see someone just genuinely excited to like call professional wrestling. And like he'd give you the hard Don West sell, but that was something that he was a master at. So just to speak more about Don West and just his overall influence on Impact and just really social media in general.
Yeah, I was thinking when he passed, when he did, particularly in the early days in the Asylum, like those first pay-per-views when it was just him and Mike after Ed Ferrara had left. When he did those like hard sells, those like 2 minutes, will just put the camera on Don and he'll pitch next week's weekly pay-per-view. If those happened in 2023, they'd go viral every week. Like those, you have got to see this. And the card is often terrible. It's often like it's Don Harris against Malice in a First Blood match. Terrible match. Nobody could possibly want to watch it. But Don West is like, blood as red as my shirt. You will need to see this thing. And it's like, I will buy. Well, I was 10. I wasn't buying any weekly pay-per-views in 2002. But I would imagine the average person watching those is like, I have to come back next week. I need to see whatever. Even like the Don West pitch would have become a selling point. As I said, like if you go back and watch, as I said, those early shows are so great for a guy earnestly, enthusiastically falling in love with professional wrestling in real time, because he wasn't really a wrestling fan. So when you watch, like, go back to the first TNA show, when there's like a Hurricane Rana or a drop kick, the man loses his mind because he's seeing these things for the first time, and it's so earnest and it's so enthusiastic and it's so like honest and sincere and not performative, which I think is a really important part of it. He's not faking his enthusiasm. He was never like putting on an act. He was never, being energetic for the sake of being energetic. That was just him. He was just an enthusiastic salesman who fell in love with wrestling. And I'll always say, like, it was a travesty the degree to which he got criticism while he was an active announcer. Like, I'm so glad that the world has come around on Don West, but he was given untold criticism while he was an announcer. Like, he was winning, he was in the worst wrestling announcer, again, to go back to Dave's voters in this case, the Observer Awards. If you look at them, every year, worst announcer he's in there. And it's crazy because he was so good. And I'm so glad, like, in the years past, like, people have really, like, re-examined that Mike Tenay, Don West team and realized we didn't really appreciate what we had while we had it.
There was a very lean time to be an Impact Wrestling fan. How did you keep your fandom throughout that? Because I know I definitely waned from time to time. And what brought me back was when the Anthem sale went through and they came to Ottawa for Bound for Glory. That was 2016 or 2017. That brought me back, and I've stayed since. But like, what's kept you as a fan throughout the Impact years?
Yeah, because like the closest I would have come to like just giving up on them was like that 2017 year where it was like the Jarrett comeback that just didn't get off the ground, and the GFW stuff that I think rubbed everyone off the wrong way. The green ropes gives us all flashbacks. But like that year is like the most down. But then, as you said, when it picked back up in 2018 and there's a lot more character and a lot more like better like signings made in terms of like Brian Cage, Lucha Bros coming in, people like that. And I don't know, like, for the entire history of TNA, it was never smooth sailing, I guess. Even in its best days, there was always like, oh, well, if only if it didn't have this or didn't have that, or if only this period lasted longer and they didn't rehire Vince Russo in 2006. If only any of these things could have happened. So I think a little bit of disappointment and bitterness was always built in so that it never built up to the extent that it would explode. And I never had like a toxically positive relationship, as my camera has completely disappeared. There you go. Toxically positive. I don't have a webcam, so I have to do an elaborate setup where my phone is technically connected via Wi-Fi. I should really buy a webcam. But I never had like that, I have to be positive about TNA. And then everyone you see every time who is in that mindset, who is like toxically positive, eventually breaks, because there's always going to be stuff you never like about a thing. And it's okay. you can accept that. It's okay for something to have flaws. And I think I've always had that like realistic approach that I can deal with the good times and deal with the bad and cling desperately to the things I like in a show during periods where there's more things that I don't like than like. But there is usually always things I like even in the Russo years, which are funnier to look back on now because they're funny bad at the very least, which you can always appreciate about Vinny Rue. Like the man could write bad television in a way that was at least largely entertaining, except maybe toward the death of WCW. But yeah, I've always been cynical. I think this is the answer to your question. I've never broken.
Sounds like
well, look, I love bad television. Are you kidding me? Yeah, the Vince Russo episodes with the abyss and the casket coming down is one I very, very vividly remember. But the candle abyss ruled, by the way. I know there's people posting clips of him, the matches with Sabu, which were great. Obviously, the AJ matches always stick out and just are fantastic top tier matches. And it is a shame he did great stuff in Impact, that he was not more revered on a bigger level. Now he's doing agenting for WWE. He brought balloons to WWE many years ago as well.
I was his resume at the time. Actually, it's 14 years. I might need a producer job. Just think about it.
I'm gonna ask for a scoop here, Garrett. I don't know if you have the insight on this, but are we gonna see the 6-sided ring for Impact 1000?
I don't think so. But there's a lot on that show that I think people will love and enjoy in terms of TNA history and Impact history. But it's all been announced more or less. AMW will be there, my favorite tag team of all time. A tag team that, like, Abyss at least was through TNA history during the times when TNA was like most watched, during the peak of the Spike era when like 1.52 million people were watching every week. AMW were like unfortunate that they were still in the early days of Spike, where they would have gotten like 1 million people watching ish in the early days of Spike. But like Beer Money is the team people remember for James Storm, and I've always been an AMW guy, so I've always been attracted to see. So it's so nice to see them, and like seeing guys who are on episode 1, which is really cool. Like Frankie Kazarian, Eric Young, Chris Sabin, AMW, Scott D'Amore, all those guys who are on the first episode, who will still be there for episode 1000, which I think is really, really neat to actually have that continuity going through. And Gail Kim and Awesome Kong coming out of retirement, both of them, the legends of the Knockout Division. And like the fact that so much of like Impact 1000 is built around women is really, really cool. And I don't think that would be the case for any other company, that they would have the actual legitimate history to draw off of. That like so much of the promotion that people have brought back with Gail and the Beautiful People and Tracy and Kong, like that tells you how important the women's division has been to Impact for like 15 years of its 19-year run for most of those episodes. And it's really cool that that's like a really large component of episode 1000.
Yeah, I put it out there the other week that, North American women's wrestling, Impact is almost certainly the place to go for that. If you're looking for your fill, if you want multiple women's matches, you want talented women who are working hard on that roster, that's no shade at AEW or WWE. You're just getting a full fill and different characters and different storylines coming out of Impact. And you're right, that 10 woman knockouts tag is going to be something fun. And I think a lot of people are just excited, not only for them to knock it out of the park, but also who the special guests are going to be, the special, the secret entrance, as they would.
The question marks, one of which is 3 question marks, one of which is 2. I don't know why, but what could be read into that? What does it mean?
I assume, I don't know if you make the graphics, but now I'm just going to assume you're dropping Easter egg
I don't make
on the graphics. Who has a 3? Who has a 3? Not letter, but 3
it's like
names.
Syllables. Yeah, each question mark is a syllable. I don't know.
This is how I'm gonna read into it. Look, they need to bring back the 6-sided ring for one of these matches. I don't care which one it is. I just give me the 6-sided ring on this. The current state of Impact Wrestling. We have Impact Victory Road tonight, which looks like a really fantastic show. I mean, I've spoken about it, but like I'm really looking forward to Josh Alexander and Steve Macklin. That's a match we were supposed to get many months ago. Unfortunately, we had the injury to Alexander, then Macklin got hurt. Back more or less a number 1 contenders match. So I'm really looking forward to that. Your thoughts on just everything going on Impact right now and where the company currently stands?
It's a pretty exciting period, especially like the last few weeks where you've had Multiverse United 2, a really cool crossover show with New Japan, straight the next week into Victory Road or into Emergence in Toronto, which is, I think, a really cool show. And now 2 weeks later, again, we have Victory Road, which is, again, a pretty stacked card. You know, Guns and Rascals, Kushida, Leo Rush, Jordan Grace returning against Diana, like up and down that card, a bunch of cool stuff. And then, like, tomorrow you have 1,000, which is next Thursday. And then you go straight into Bound for Glory, like Will Ospreay returning. So there's a bunch of stuff, and UK tour right after that. So I think it's a very newsworthy period for Impact. It's a very exciting period for Impact. There's a lot of good, cool stuff happening. So like I know there's a fight for oxygen in wrestling these days. There's a lot of wrestling on TV. There's arguably too much wrestling on TV when you look at how many days of the week have wrestling shows on them. But I think Impact respects your time, and it's 2 hours every week. It's not 5 or even more than 5 for some companies. It's 2 hours. You can sit down, you can enjoy your stories, you can go back next week. I think it's one of the easier watches that both respects your time and gives you your value for money for those 2 hours you spend every week, and maybe 3 if you just join us on a Friday night for an Impact Plus special.
Okay, I need to get into this. Post-production. Who the hell do I have to talk to about this? I have given so much shit to the post-production crew. I need to know. I make this joke on the post show that Cresta and I do on Fightful. Impact can always go 99% and never 100. And I mean that in the most loving way, because we typically have glowing things to say about the show. Who the hell do I have to talk to about the post-production issues? Because Garrett, I'll come after you if I have to. I'll do it.
Yeah, it's my fault. You can come to our, oh, you want to fight me now, do you, Joel? That's it. I was in Canada last month. Not a word was said. And all of a sudden, Joel wants to take me out. He wants to drag me around and beat the shit out of me and be like, produce the show better. God damn it.
Listen, if they were running Rebel next time they were in town, but they're not, then I would invite you for an ass kicking. Instead, they're going to run Mississauga, and no one wants to go to Mississauga. No one wanted to go to Rebel either. That's a hard place to get to. But anyway.
Don't you besmirch the good name of the Battle Arts Academy. Where are you training?
Not there.
Joel doesn't train. Are you kidding me? Joel isn't training at all. Joel's trying to get into fights with the post-production people right now. He's trying to
he
fight
just wants
Garrett.
to take people out. People trying their best, doing a good job, putting out a good show every week. And Joel wants to tear them down and fight them. Despicable behavior. I'm invited on as a guest. You fought over me at the start. You fought. It's like, oh, we're getting Garrett on. Now we want to fight him. God, it's been a trap.
This is why Macklin's gonna beat you up, Joel. You're a jerk.
He's a coward. What's he gonna do? Come after me and tear his groin again? What are we doing here?
You're being a jerk.
No,
Joel.
I'm not actually, but I do say lovingly. There is this like feeling that there's so much potential within Impact, even like 20 years later, on things like the post-production side. And I am excited because there was the report that came out not too long ago about post-production, or just production as a whole, getting some upgrades. And I think that there will be some changes that come with that in a good way. So I bring it up mostly as like a positive.
Didn't sound positive. Garrett's not sold on it.
I'll fight Garrett. That's different.
You're never getting a WWE scoop again, Jeremy.
What did I do?
Another Full Sail University scoop. You are guilty by association.
Oh, that happens a lot with Joel. He gets me in trouble just because I don't like him though. I don't I do this show because nobody else is available. That's the problem.
All I'm saying is who replies to emails requesting interviews from Impact? Who gets the replies, Jeremy? Because it ain't you.
Now, you right now.
All right. I gave my favorite moment earlier with Angle. Across 1,000 moments. What are your favorite moments?
Not unfortunately, but I actually like to go back to the early days. This isn't technically like a moment or anything, but I like the early days where they had, when they were on Fox Sports 1, and the overlay that had like the sports presentation. Again, I realize this is not a moment, but I really enjoyed that kind of presentation of the show, and the countdown box, which you yelled at me one time, Garrett, because I posted the Monty Brown clip and I thought the clock was going up. And it was at like 9 minutes and it was going down. I was like, why are Monty Brown and Disco Inferno wrestling in a 9-minute match? And you were like, oh, it's actually counting down. I was like, yeah, I probably should have paid more attention to that. But I actually like the early days. I'll never forget the big head-to-head show with WWE and Jeff Hardy and Homicide getting stuck in the red cage and everything. Like, and these are not the best moments in the world. But those are certainly moments that I don't think anybody will forget as an Impact fan.
I love the Fox box. I'm stunned more people didn't try and do something like the Fox box.
It was something I loved because like that show aired at like 3:00 or something weird
in the afternoon on a Friday.
Yeah. So like I'd get home from school. I was in like high school at the time. I'd get home from school. I'd be like, oh, cool. I got wrestling to watch now. And like it was just part of my routine when I got home. And yeah, I love the Fox box though. They should bring that back. That's my request. The 6-sided ring Fox box for one Impact 1000.
Yeah, because like Ring of Honor did it for like pure title matches, which I thought was cool with the on-screen display, and no one else has ever done it. And it's more of a production lift. You do have to put effort into doing it, but I think it's a cool thing. Like all sports have that. They tell you who's on screen and why and how long is left in whatever they're doing. Especially like even AEW is a company that has time limits, so I think it makes more sense for them to put it on screen. But no one's used it.
Aces and Eights funeral.
Oh, you see, there's two feud. There's the Team 3D funeral, the Aces and Eights one, and they're both tremendous. The Aces and Eights one is my favorite because they spent the entire time telling you how much the angle they just spent a year on absolutely sucked. They're like, this stuff was garbage. Why did we even do it? This is so terrible. Let's all get up there and bury it for 5 minutes. Oh, by the way, we spent a year on this.
And it was perfect because it gave everybody it was cathartic for some people who had invested all of this time. And suddenly they were just like, oh, they feel like we feel. And it didn't matter whether or not it was true. It just worked. And it was so funny. And Joe come on. That was just one of the best segments I remember watching and just clamming onto. And of course, you got to hit a kid with a car.
Of course.
Later on.
Poor Richie. I believe he's not dead. Everyone's always makes mistakes. Everyone's like, Richie is dead. I believe Richie canonically survived. And everyone's always like, Mickie James died when she was pushed in front of a train. No, she didn't. She wrestled like 2 weeks later. Get your TNA lore right, people.
Eric Young's not dead. Everyone's like, oh, we saw him stabbed. Nope. Nobody dies in this world of Impact Wrestling.
You only die when we kill you dead. That's the only time. Yeah. Or we lock you in the undead realm only to come back when your other contracts expire.
If you die in the undead realm, you're dead for good. I think that's the way it works. That's the reason Ali can't come back. Ali and Luchasaurus gone for good. I'm not sure about the Karate Man. He did pull Ethan Page's heart out.
Yeah.
That seemed pretty definitive, but he might be able to wrestle without it. Eric Young also seemed pretty definitive, but he just got on his motorbike and drove away. So
popped up blood, felt better, and he's like, I'm hot. And it's like, you're a what? Are you you can't be killed? This man,
he's a concept. He's an idea. He lives forever in our hearts and minds.
And he can never lose a match again as a result of this. Good for him.
I believe that the implication of that is that Impact is then canonically a shared fever dream where everybody is a thought or an idea. And thus, if you see them die, they are not actually dead because it only lives in our minds.
Is that whenever the finale for Impact is, which they at this point are never going to have a finale?
Yeah, episode like 7063.
Is that the actual finale? It's Jeff Jarrett, who I assume will still be alive and part of the business on all of this. It's the snow globe. He just has a snow globe, and it's just like wakes up from the dreams. Like, what just happened with all of this? And here, that's what it is. Impact was just a giant Jeff Jarrett fever dream.
Yeah, in the year of our Lord 2002, in like March 2002, he'll just wake up again and be like, good God. What an adventure I'm going to have for 20 years.
I have to tell the world about Dixie. I have to tell them now.
Did you see her on the NWA? Or not it was OVW.
OVW, yes, I did. I was
great.
writing that article this morning. I was like, oh, bless that they EC3 called in the connection to get Dixie out there, or whoever ended up making the phone call. Garrett, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really appreciate it. Let everybody know where they can find you at.
You can follow me on Twitter at Garrett Kidney. I also host a TNA history podcast called You've Got to Be Kidding Me, where we cover TNA 1 month at a time. We're currently on October 2005, so right at the start of the spike year. So it's a good period to jump on. So me and my co-host Liam, who you can follow on Twitter at the Gleek Muda, because he gives out to me if I don't plug his Twitter on other podcasts. He gave out to me for that once. He's like, it's only good podcast etiquette to plug your co-host's Twitter on other podcasts too. So
I agree. I do that all the time. So yes, I agree with you. I agree with him.
So yeah, you can listen to You've Got to Be Getting Me on your podcast platform of choice. And of course, Victory Road tonight as we speak on Impact Plus, Fight, and YouTube Ultimate Insiders. And then Impact 1000 is taped tomorrow in the Westchester County Center in White Plains, New York. Airs next Thursday on Access TV and YouTube Insiders. So there you go. Look at those smooth plugs. Don't I know my stuff?
And you can also catch Garrett on the Impact social media between 5 and 8 minutes after something happens on another show, plugging Impact as well, and how it all references to Impact. Thank you so much.
It all goes
Garrett.
back to that Jeff Jarrett snow globe. Everything is in there.
Thank you, Garrett. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Garrett.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, buddy. There you go, Garrett Kidney. Everybody, appreciate him joining us. Talk Impact. Nobody knows Impact like Garrett Kidney, so excited. Always good to talk to him. I guess I will tell the scoop story again because I tell it basically every time I talk to Garrett. So Garrett did this bit of it wasn't even a bit. It was just he asked Full Sail. You know, the Full Sail attacks, NXT Full Sail attacks were very prevalent. And he asked the Full Sail Twitter of like, can you please address the attacks that keep happening in your parking lot? And the Full Sail Twitter replied to him and said, we take these matters very serious. We are looking into it. And so I was like, oh, this is hilarious. So I wrote the article because I thought it was so funny. And it was up on Fightful. It was up for a little while. And then I get a call from a Stanford number a few hours later. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm getting called up, baby. I'm going on the booking team. Here we go. They're calling me for that job. And it was a WWE PR person who was like, we really value our partnership with Full Sail. Can you please take this article down? I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I took it down and I messaged Garrett. I was like, you got me in trouble with WWE because you had to ask Full Sail about the parking lot attacks. So yes, Garrett got me called to the WWE offices, got called onto the principal's office from WWE thanks to Garrett's tweet. So, and ever since then, Garrett and I have we had a fine relationship before then, but certainly after that, it became enhanced a little bit. Anytime you get you get a phone call based on a tweet from WWE, your relationship is just bonded for life after that.
You know, since they're such big fans of their Full Sail University partnership as they are now, because they clearly film at Full Sail every single week still for NXT, I feel like you could put that article back up.
I mean, yeah, there's still the parking lot attacks, which are not good. I think it's just NXT in general. Like, it doesn't matter where they run. We're just going to get parking lot attacks, which I think is more of an NXT security problem than a Full Sail security problem.
Yeah, that's right. They see WWE, they see the letters NXT, and the Florida cops are just like, nah, not tonight.
I'm sure that article is still in archives. I should sneakily repost it one day and just see if anybody. Yeah, it's years old at this point. It's got to be. It was during the pandemic, so yeah, it's got to be by 2020. It's got to be at least 3 years old at this point. So I should just post it, backdate it to 2020, and if it ever shows up on socials, just immediately delete it so there's no trace of it. But yeah, I should just sneakily repost it one day.
You should. It'd be very funny. But yeah, thanks to Garrett Kidney for joining us. It was a really fun chat. Impact 1000 is going to be a really fun show. We spoke to Alex Shelley on Wednesday. We did fix up the audio. We put it up separately on our Fightful Overbooked feed and on our audio feeds. So go check that out. I think once you get an actual idea of what Alex was saying, you'll understand and appreciate the interview even more. And he brought up the fact, he brought up the Trey Miguel match and who he's going to be facing at Impact 1000 is Trey Miguel and Alex Shelley. And there was a part of me listening back to that interview, Jeremy, where I was like, are they going to shock us? Are they going to potentially do a Trey Miguel world title win on the 1000th episode of Impact? With that, I don't necessarily think so. But like, is there a part of you that was just like, he's really talking me into the possibility of this happening?
No, I think you got to do Shelley and Alexander. I think that's the match, and that's probably the headlining Bound for Glory match. I mean, unless Will Ospreay is gonna get some type of title shot at Bound for Glory, but yeah, I think Shelley and Alexander is the match. I don't think it's Trey Miguel.
We'll see about that. But no, the main event tonight at Victory Road seems to be Alexander and Macklin, which well-deserved. That was a main event world title match that was supposed to happen months ago before both men went down with injury. So looking forward to talking about that. Cresta and I will be live either on youtube.com/Fightful or Fightful Overbooked. We don't know yet because it's going to come down to when the show ends versus when SmackDown and their post-show goes. we try to make this as fluid as we can, but we'll be somewhere. We'll be covering Victory Road. Tons of really fun stuff going on in that card tonight.
You should do the handoff. SmackDown team hands off to you guys.
I don't want to start later than we already would. I have a feeling this show is going to go pretty long. It's a pretty solid long, like it's a big card.
I feel most of their shows just do 3 hours. They do 8 to 11. They wrap like they're good on time, which I appreciate with Impact.
I do too, but I think that Emergence went longer, like by about 15, 20 minutes.
I don't know. Maybe it did. I feel like you're wrong, but maybe you were for once correct.
For once, my God.
I
I just pulled up this article that you wrote that dropped at 10 o'clock. The Cody Rhodes the promos are more political campaign to it. He was on the Dale Hart Jr. podcast.
That was a good listen, by the way.
I'm sure it was. I just love that Cody is so plugged into what people are saying about him that he is absolutely just taking it and running with his interviews. I love it. It's very fun.
Cody is, look, man, he's fantastic. I'll always give Cody his flowers, unless I'm trolling Steven Jensen. But otherwise, Cody, he's so good. He's so good on WWE television. He's so good in these media interviews. This Dale Earnhardt Jr. podcast is 2 hours. 2 hours of Cody Rhodes. And I got a bunch of articles out of it, which I appreciate anytime I can get multiple articles out of a 2-hour podcast, because there's some where they're an hour and a half and I can't get anything. Cody is so good with the stories and everything. And yeah, his just that line, he does such a good job of just like breaking things down. You're right. Like he's very plugged in with this stuff and he gets it. And I think he says it in the article, which everybody can read, of like, Dusty's promos had like a soul to them. Like they were very over the top and very, just the way Dusty would do things. They had a certain vibe and a feel to them. And Cody has clearly a different vibe, and his vibe, it does come off as political campaign. Like he is trying to sell you on something, and he knows how he's trying to sell you on it. And look, the suits and the word choice and everything certainly lends itself to that. But he goes that way for a reason. He doesn't want to be over the top professional wrestler. He wants to be like he wants to be an everyman in a different kind of way. Dusty was an everyman, but Cody wants to do it in a different kind of way. And let's be honest about political people. They want to be an everyman in a different kind of way.
He's just a common man.
That's the lyric, right? Now, Cody's fantastic though. I hope they release the condom Stardust mask. I do think we need that. He said there was a pitch for a Stardust mask and you put it on. I don't know how it goes on, but it looked like a blown up condom. And I don't need it. I need to see this. That's what I need. Should I? No, nope. Not going to get myself in trouble saying that, because I got some laying around. And
don't you dare. I've already spent 48 minutes not telling people to leave a thumbs up on this video, because you should have already if you haven't. But go ahead and leave a thumbs up and subscribe to us here at Fightful Overbooked, and donate a super chat. Any amount, get your question or statement read on the air. And of course, it supports our people here on Fightful Overbooked, our contributors, our show hosts, our fantastic people who do a lot of work that we often give them credit for.
We get enough money, everybody. And on Monday, I don't have a Stardust mask. I have a Sting mask. I'll wear a condom Sting mask.
No. Oh, Christ, no.
I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know how we're doing this.
Yeah, I already hate it.
Yeah. We need money, though, first. We got $100 for the cake bit. So we got to... People like seeing me be stupid for some reason.
Would have never expected that.
Yeah. So send money. That's what I'm asking for here.
Send money. Jeremy does stupid things. It seems to work for us. So why not? Anyway, what else are we talking about? Since we kind of went on a WWE tangent, let's just let's get quickly through SmackDown tonight. I actually just want to bring up Jimmy Uso, and I want your opinion. I want your thoughts on this. Do you think that they're going to try and make a push for a main event Jimmy Uso? Are they really going to try to build Jimmy Uso? And do you think it has legs? Could it work to a similar vein as what they did with Jay? Because clearly whatever they've been doing with Jay for the last few years seems to be working. We seem to be getting the crowd behind him. Jimmy's a different beast. He's a different brother. He's a different guy. He ain't doing the low rider. He ain't doing the what you call it. Don't say it. So what do you think? Is
getting head?
Oh, Jesus Christ. We're already doing this. Jimmy Uso. What's the deal? Can you stop that? It's very, very disheartening because you're also like your camera's facing up. So it looks, no, stop it. Hey, Joel and Jeremy, how'd you get your show canceled? Well, maybe when Joel threatened to fire or to fight the entire Impact post crew. No. It was later on, around 50 minutes in, when Jeremy decided to. Anyway,
where Jeremy's camera was blowing him. That's Jesus what happened.
Christ. Never putting this in my reel. Jimmy Uso, what are we doing?
They gotta stop treating him like a little bitch, that's for sure. He came back and John Cena punked him out, and then AJ Styles punked him out. He got AJ back with his little leg swipe at the end, but he's probably gonna beat AJ Styles if they're gonna try to do anything with Jimmy. I don't think it was like a bad start last week. He got some lines in on Cena. Cena's, I've been waiting 3 years to tell you this for something that happened 3 weeks ago, which was a weird line for old John. But John stood tall there. And, AJ pushed him. He fell over backstage. And then AJ lost a solo thanks to Jimmy. I think Jimmy's got to win. Look, I imagine that Solo's going to interfere and then Jimmy will win and we'll just kind of keep doing this. They can make Jimmy with this. I don't know if that's where they're going to go, though. Like, Solo's their guy right now. They continue to protect Solo. He's only had 2 losses. He's lost to Cody and he lost to Jay. And then both those guys lost to Roman. So they continue to make Solo. I think they're going to, at least for right now, have Jimmy just be kind of conflicted as to what's going on, because Jimmy, he doesn't like Roman still. Like he kind of made that clear of, look, the only reason I didn't want Jay to win because I didn't want him to be like you, like you're still an asshole. But then Solo is still helping him and he's still part of the island of relevancy. So I think they're just going to have Jimmy still be a little conflicted. And then once he makes his choice, he makes his choice. But Roman's got to be back in the picture for that. And I don't know when Roman is coming back. Right now it feels kind of holding pattern-ish with Jimmy.
So I kind of agree. But also I the way that I came out of last Friday's SmackDown was Jimmy is trying to infiltrate the bloodline again. It felt to me like Jimmy's going to do this whole thing where he pretends to be on Roman's good side. He does all the things. Roman's going to test him. Jimmy's going to do the things, try to become right-hand man Jimmy Uso, while Jay does whatever he's doing on Raw. They kind of keep those two apart, hopefully. And it all just ends with Jimmy turning on Roman and the bloodline, and we build to an eventual title match between the two. Because we still haven't seen it, and because it's the bloodline, it's inevitable that they're going to match up. I don't have a problem with that, because you and I have talked about this, over the course of the bloodline story, that this story works best when it's insular, when it's just the family dynamics. That being said, to me, the way it came out was they're going to make a hard push to get Jimmy on the top of the SmackDown roster. But the way they might do it, like you said, Solo's very well protected. I still think Solo is going to get that opportunity as well at Roman. But I think it first starts with Jimmy kind of weaseling his way in and through the bloodline ranks again.
Possibly. I don't know. Last week was decent when it came to Jimmy, but I wish they didn't fall over when AJ shoved them, because he kind of just like a bitch on that. And I didn't think that was great for him, especially after his brother super kicked him and then quit to get away from everything. The matches will be good. Jimmy's a great professional wrestler. People, I don't think, give him the credit. They give the tag team the credit, but as a singles guy, he's going to be fine in wrestling matches. It's just going to be a matter of how you actually book him with this stuff. I don't know if the infiltrating thing is where they're going. And it feels very holding pattern until Roman actually returns and does his big speech to kind of tie up a lot of loose ends. And we'll see what happens there. Or Heyman's gonna have to say some stuff. I don't know. Last week didn't get me like super excited for the Jimmy Uso run. I'm looking forward to him against AJ. That's a good match. AJ's still very good. And again, Jimmy's very good, but I'm very concerned that it's just gonna be, oh, here's Solo helping Jimmy win. See, the bloodline loves you. Come back to us. You know, you're still part of the family here. Don't be like Jay. You're better than that. And I think there's real potential in a Jimmy and Roman singles match. And I kind of thought that's where they might be going after SummerSlam, before the way SummerSlam played out, and it just didn't happen that way. They got options. They always have options when it comes to this stuff. It's just a matter of which way they're actually gonna go with it.
Trying to think where they could possibly run this, and doesn't feel like a Survivor Series match. Or maybe it does. Again, we don't know what. I mean, Jimmy and Roman, if they have a big enough War Games match, then you could put it on the back burner. Again, like I'll bring up Impact, for example. They've been pretty good at cycling some of their stories and titles. Maybe it's time to let the Bloodline be a little bit earlier on the card, or let it open the show again. We talked about that once upon a time. Maybe it's just time to let the Bloodline story not fully dominate a PLE. SmackDown is one thing. That seems to be just like all they want to do, and everyone else just kind of takes a back seat, for better or for worse. What if everything else kind of takes precedence over the Bloodline story?
They got Saudi in early November. That's before Survivor Series. That's 2 months. That's reportedly November 4th. So can you heat up Jimmy enough in 2 months? You can to face Roman at Saudi. I could see them going there, and then what comes out of Survivor Series, not sure. It just feels very much like a holding pattern until Roman comes back. And when's Roman coming back? I don't know, because they got Cena for the next 7 weeks after tonight's episode. Cena won't be part of tonight's episode, but he starts 7 weeks beginning next week. And I don't know if they're going to utilize Roman and Cena on the same show too often. I think that was the point of having Cena and there are other circumstances, obviously, but I think that was a big reason they wanted Cena for 7 shows, though, is because, hey, we might not have Roman for a lot of these shows.
Was there ever a reason given as to why Cena wasn't working tonight? Because like
he's in India. He's in India.
Oh yeah, he's working okay. The only reason I was just like, that's the Boston show. Like,
yeah,
that's like the one show where I was just looking at the card, I was looking at the location. I was like, really, hometown? Did they what? But yeah, the India show. You're right. That's happening literally as we speak.
Yeah, I don't think it takes a detective to figure this out. He was announced for September 1st, which was last week. And then that was supposed to be, I honestly think he was just going to put over the India show on that and then do the India show. And then who knows when we see John Cena again. But then the strikes happened. They did the deal with the Make-A-Wish. And so I was like, hey, now we got John Cena for 7 weeks. And so they reversed course or changed some plans on what they maybe wanted to do there. But yeah, I think that's all it was, is he was just going to do the 1 week until things opened up for him.
Yeah, and it works. You know what? You and I sat here last week, and when John Cena was making his return, did you spill the water all over yourself?
No.
Even better. I didn't see it, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, we kind of posited different ideas of what this could turn into with John Cena's run. And
this is not a Pepsi bottle, everybody, despite the blue being on there. I realize it does. Actually, it's water, and it's not like a color that looks like Pepsi. Should I drink it like Kenny Omega?
Sure. It looks like you're... Anyway.
That's how Kenny Omega drinks this stuff. What do you want me to do?
Not drink it like Kenny Omega.
Oh, you said sure. He like twists it.
I
admire Kenny Omega the way he like, I assume it's to like cover the label or something, but he's like, that probably didn't look very good. But
no, it doesn't. He does it either.
Shout out to Kenny Omega. He's very good.
He is very good.
He rules, honestly.
No, he does actually. 5 stars. I'm sure there will be no debate over that with Konosuke Takeshita from All Out. I'm sure no one will have any problems with that subjective match rating. Anyway. Oh God, where was I? John Cena. Last week when you and I were doing the show, we kind of said what would we like to see John Cena do when he comes in, and we just kind of said, well, maybe not Bloodline stuff. And what's the first thing we see? Well, maybe Bloodline stuff. And in the moment, I didn't love it because it was kind of opposite of what we wanted. But also, I just kind of sat there and I said, okay, this might work. It might make sense given the fact that this is the top storyline. You may as well have your top star do the top storyline, but it doesn't need to be that way forever. That being said, the John Cena stuff has to go beyond the Jimmy Uso stuff, and we got to see him take on other opponents for sure. Like there has to be other people for John Cena to put over and say fine speech to that aren't Cody Rhodes, right?
Cody used the fine speech line.
He did during the Grayson Waller effect. And I'd love John Cena to come back and just be like, fine stump speech, knowing that he knows the politicals part.
I don't know where they're going. Well, okay, let's talk about this. So on Monday, they're getting draft compensation for Jay going to Raw. I think it's The Miz. You know, Cody's been talked about, but I think it's The Miz. I think Jensen brought up Cody. I think it's The Miz though, because he's doing the feud with Cena right now, and so they're going to get him on. Oh, we talked about this, but then you got the 2 television shows and everything. Okay, I'm misremembering what shows I do, Joel. It's been
all of them.
It's been a week. Yeah,
we do.
It's been a week. All right, so okay, final. I think Cody's on SmackDown tonight. Says Bonkers LLC. He's advertised. I think it's the dark match right now. I feel like if they were gonna put Cody on the actual SmackDown show, they'd go ahead and announce that, and maybe they will. They hold off a lot of this stuff until like 4 p.m. for some reason, so maybe they will end up announcing it. Right now, it's just he's advertised to be at the show, and but right now I think it's a dark match because they have not officially announced him for the television show. I do want to clarify that because I've seen a lot of people be like, Cody's gonna be on SmackDown tonight. That's not official.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think that Cody is the answer. I don't think Miz is the guy. I still think it's Kevin Owens. That's kind of where I'm at.
Look, I'm fine with that, but here's the thing: it can't be Kevin Owens tonight. He's in India, so it ain't Kevin Owens tonight if they do the draft compensation thing. I guess they could announce it, but he can't show up.
If Hulk Hogan can wrestle 400 matches in 1 year by flying back and forth from Japan and therefore saving a day or several hours to wrestle the match, then we can do the same thing with Kevin Owens. When this show ends, it'll be noon. Are you saying he can't fly back in however many hours to make it to the show? The
India to Boston flight.
And they got to go from I forget where they're located. I want to say Hyderabad, but that's not the name of the city.
It's 18 hours.
Easy. And in the WWE jet, that goes twice the speed.
It's legitimately not possible.
No, probably not. Maybe they'll just do a video. Just be like, hey, look at me. I'm the new guy.
But yeah, you can do that. You can do like an announcement. You just couldn't have him there tonight. He cannot physically be there tonight.
I see Robert O'Neill's in the chat. Friend just spotted Finn Balor at the Boston airport.
I do think we're going to get a Judgment Day presence on SmackDown. That was kind of the point of them winning the tag team titles, I thought, which I wasn't like super thrilled with. I thought they could have done more with Sammy and Kevin having a SmackDown presence during their title reign. But I think we'll get some Judgment Day on SmackDown. Again, I've said it for weeks now. Put some other stuff on there that isn't Bloodline. And now if you're going to do Judgment Day is all over Raw. Don't do that either. You got other guys who need to shine a little bit here, and you need to get them over. Other guys and girls, you need to get them over. And I hope they invest a little bit more in those talents, because I don't know who's coming over, but SmackDown feels weak right now with John Cena, great appearance and everything, but we know he's not a long-term player for them. He's just going to make his appearances and that's it. Roman's not on the show right now. who are your long-term players on this show that it's LA Knight. Like LA Knight's the guy
Yeah.
right now. Otherwise, there ain't any. They have not established people. They have the talent. Street Profits and Bobby Lashley are very good. I'm looking forward to that. AJ is always going to be AJ. I know there's Jimmy and Solo, but if they ain't doing Roman Reigns stuff, they feel a little less than without Roman Reigns. Go ahead.
This is the problem that we talk about with the Bloodline story on SmackDown specifically, where there's 2 hours of programming versus the 3 hours on Raw, where it feels like a slog, but it's a big ensemble cast with, a few people standing out here and there. If you took out the Bloodline and you mentioned those people that you just mentioned, and I'd add Grayson Waller to it, you would probably have and Rey Mysterio for that matter, because you have legacy stars. We just talked about AJ Styles is another one. If you add a lot of those elements together and you just take out Bloodline altogether, you'd still have one hell of a show. It comes down to the stories you tell. And I know someone on our Monday show that we did on Main was kind of like trying to tell us that the storylines don't necessarily matter and the matches are what matter now. And I incredibly disagree with that. And again, wrestling is subjective. Like if you want to watch the matches, that's great. Often the matches deliver, but I'm more invested when the stories get me invested in the matches themselves. So if you gave me that on SmackDown beyond the Bloodline, I think you'd have a lot of really, really popular talent that get showcased for more than the 5 to 6 minutes that they get versus the Bloodline getting a 30 to 40 minute segment, depending on the week.
Yeah, I'm with you. They, Sheamus has talked about it of, if we all had this kind of time to tell our stories, we'd all be doing great right now. Obviously, not everybody has that kind of time on SmackDown, but now time is opening up with Roman not being there every week. And how are you going to fill that time? How are you going to utilize that time? I think you've got to have now something substantial for LA Knight coming out of the Miz program. I don't know if that's dead or not yet. It could still increase. It could still keep going because of Miz's segment on Monday. And this is why I think Miz might be the guy when it comes to the draft here. But if it's not the Miz, you got to find something else for LA Knight that works. You got to find something else for LA Knight that is substantial and for him to sink his teeth into, for fans to sink their teeth into when it comes to LA Knight. Yeah, the roster, the talent isn't necessarily the issue. It is how you're going to place and utilize all of these guys. And hopefully they can figure this all out.
I saw something on Twitter. I just want to bring this up. Someone had tweeted out this photo, and it's the sign in the back is, "Why is Axe's hair so nice at Survivor Series 1990?" And the photo underneath is Axe from Demolition's hair. Have you heard this story? Have you seen the reply?
No.
So Scott Hensley on Twitter said, "So I got the answer to this at a show I worked last night that he appeared at. He said, quote, 'It was my last day, so this was my FU to Vince. He left and went to New Japan afterwards.'"
You went out with a good hair. Axe with the good hair over here. Bless
That's
him.
fantastic. I love it. I just saw that and I was like, that's perfect. He just posted that, Scott did. So good on him. Oh my God. This is co-founder of the SCI tournament. Steven Jensen will be proud. Anyway, we got a super chat earlier. We're going to start our transition over to AEW, but Why Soulable sent us one saying, "Before you guys get too far into the weeds," well, we're in the weeds, so we're close enough. A general question: where does the current AEW roster rank in all-time wrestling rosters? 90s WWF and WCW, Black and Gold NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Oh my God, there is a lot to dissect in this. This is a very meaty conversation, Jeremy. And everything's different. That's the thing. Every roster that's been mentioned here is very different for very many reasons. So where do you want to start?
Look, we can spend hours on this particular topic, I feel like, but it depends on what you're looking for. I guess, like, if you're just looking for like straight up wrestlers who are just going to go out there and give you the best matches, the AEW roster has to be near the top on that. Like it's got to be very near the top, because you can throw, they do it every week. They just throw 2 guys out there and it's like, hey, go have a great match. It's like, okay, we can do that. Like Nick Wayne just goes out there and puts on, a 4-star match with Darby Allin and the main event on Dynamite. And it's like, great. Like all these guys can do that on AEW. So if you're just looking at that, it's tough to beat the AEW roster. If you're looking at like overall star power and stuff, there's a time WWE had like Austin, Rock, Taker, Angle, Jericho, like Triple H. I'm sure there's just names I'm forgetting. Coming out of the Attitude Era and stuff. Even if you want to include the Attitude Era, WCW had a super stacked roster with their main event guys of like Hogan, Sting, Savage, Luger, and then the undercard had like Jericho, Eddie, like those Ray, like those kind of guys. Like it really just depends on sort of what you're looking for. I will, even today WWE's roster is really good. When WWE's roster is actually like really, really loaded was like 2019 before AEW started. There was so much but they didn't have really any stars at that time because they just built everything around Roman and Brock. And it's like, here we go. Here's Roman and Brock doing everything. But like their overall roster when they had, 2018, 2009, we'll call it 2018.
The hoarding years, the talent years.
Right. Like you look at those rosters and it's like, okay, you have, Roman, Brock, who are these top, but then you have like Cesaro, Sammy, the Shield, all the members in the Shield, Danielson. Like you look at the roster then, and then you factor in the women too. You had like the 4 horsewomen and everything like that. Just looking at the talent on that roster, that's one of the top rosters they've ever had. It's just they position the talent like shit.
It's funny because I'm thinking about this answer and my brain continues to say, it really depends on how they're being booked and it really depends on how the stories are being told. The wrestling is the wrestling. You know what I mean? And I continue to go back to this. My wrestling involves storytelling. My wrestling doesn't involve necessarily the moveset. It involves the story you're being told in the ring. So for me, it's like, what's the best locker room you have? Well, it's the one that continues to entertain me the most. And I'm being entertained now, probably as much as, WWF in the 2000 area, like the 98 to 2001 area, it was entertaining me. That was a lot of like, Hogan, Rock, not Hogan, sorry, Stone Cold and Rock on top. And Triple H inevitably comes in and Mick Foley. And I still love that Triple H and Mick Foley trilogy that they did leading up to Foley's retirement, quote unquote. I mean, listen, the MSG Street Fight continues to be one of my favorite matches I ever watched live. Saw it in a movie theater, 13-year-old kid, so much gore, so much blood. My friend next to me, like covering his eyes throughout. I loved that match. The Hell in a Cell match the next month at No Way Out, and it was in like Connecticut in like their backyard, and it was just not. It was a good match and it was fine, but like that being the end again, quote unquote, and then he gets brought back. Foley does for WrestleMania because Linda McMahon's like, this poor soul's never main evented a main of WrestleMania, so he will now, and it was so much fun for kid me to enjoy. That was a great time in my life watching wrestling and enjoying the rosters. Again, a strong roster creates a strong show. Strong storytelling creates a strong show. And I know this is kind of a hedging answer, but to me, it's less about the amount of people on your roster and more about how you're featuring your roster and your members. You can make the argument that NXT Black and Gold era that people, still love to wax poetic over, had a great roster. A lot of the same roster was also Ring of Honor 2016 or 2017. They were a lot of the same people, but now they had their characters a little more defined, a little more WWE-ified, so they've been shined up, and that's okay too. It all comes down to what your version of like entertainment in wrestling is. So, and this is coming from a WCW guy who unapologetically enjoyed the late 2000s into 2001 and talks about like WCW Greed 2001 and talks about like Jason Jett versus Kiwi as one of like the best matches that you will never watch because it was legitimately good and it was a hot opener and people are just like, those two? Yeah, it's a good match. But then the main event was shit. No one remembers. It doesn't matter. So yeah. Oh, by the way, the Gunther Intercontinental Championship reign continues. He did have a match today.
Okay.
He beat. Take a guess.
I don't know.
Shanky.
Oh, nice. Poor Shanky.
Poor Shanky. Whatever. He didn't get shanked. He just lost to the ring general. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about AEW. I want to talk about that Samoa Joe MJF segment. Completely unsurprised that this was a very good segment. Completely unsurprised that they took various shots at each other. What are your general thoughts about this? Because they did, in my opinion, a pretty good job of giving us some doubt that Roderick Strong versus MJF has to be Grand Slam main event now that Samoa Joe is part of this tournament as well.
I got a lot of doubt that it's Roderick Strong right now. I think unless you're going to do Joe and MJF at Wrestle Dream, since that's a week and a half after Grand Slam, which would make some sense. But Joe's gonna have to lose in the tournament. I assume to Roderick Strong in the final. Right, you do a Kingdom run in there. I don't even know if you want to go 2 heels because they're both technically heels, I believe. I don't know if you want to go 2 heels in the tournament final though. But I got a lot of doubt after this promo. Like, it feels like it should be Samoa Joe. And look, a Roddy Strong Samoa Joe final makes some sense too, because that's how Roddy's in this neck brace for 3 months now because of Samoa Joe. So you bring all that back around. Roddy tries his best, can't do it, still can't beat Samoa Joe. His neck is hurt some more. You kind of continue that on a little bit. Joe gets his title shot at Grand Slam against MJF. The promo was excellent from both men, as you would expect in this case. I love that, like, MJF, this is a very real villain story of we all saw that push at NXT in Brooklyn when he shoved MJF aside. This is not I sent an email to William Regal. I was getting the Uso in the car when I crashed it. That's what it's called. It's called the Uso, right?
Stop.
That's how you feel, Usi, everybody.
Stop it.
Getting the Usi.
No,
that's what we're gonna call it.
No, we're gonna get demonetized. I'm gonna have to fill out a whole form just to get our money back.
Everybody's gonna get the Usi out here. So he's got all these villain stories. This one was something we all saw on television where he pushed MJF out of the way. And he recalled that moment, and Joe was like, "Hey, you're a little bitch. Love a good little bitch. Anytime you can throw a little bitch in there, I'm all for it." Joe's ice cream line was fantastic. I don't know if they rehearsed that one or if that one came up on the spot, but credit to Samoa Joe for throwing that one out there. That was really good.
It threw a lot of people off too. Some people were like, "What the hell is he talking about?" The other people thought that he was making a WWE reference when he was making.
He kind of was.
He was, but he wasn't like talking about his time in WWE. He was talking about the Peacock series that he's part of, Twisted Metal. So I like it was inside without being inside at all, and I really appreciated that.
It was so good. That was such a good line. The fat jokes from MJF, I like that Garrett Kidney said it. That was actually a reference to Scott Steiner calling him fat. Those were okay. I don't think the kids liked it. The kids were watching the segment with us, and they're like, "That's not funny. I don't get it." I think they got it. It's like, it's not funny.
So there's something interesting about MJF, and it was kind of pointed out to me. Whenever MJF is like a little scared, he goes for like the low-hanging fruit insults.
That's every single time.
It's not, or at least it's the way it starts. He always starts low hanging and then he starts kind of building from there, for better or for worse. But like, he did it with Punk, he's done it with Darby, he did it with Adam Cole, and that's just and then they get progressively more intense depending on how deep into the feud you get, which the aforementioned have all gone pretty deep. But yeah, that's just something that I continue to recognize with the MJF character is he starts off jokey and like really upsettingly jokey, but then it gets worse and worse. So I don't know what he has in store for for a Samoa Joe, tirade when we get to that point.
I don't know if we're gonna fully get that. It feels like he hit a lot of the high points. I'm sure MJF still got more material, but it feels like he hit some high points. In this promo segment, we're referencing the NXT stuff. I was waiting for him to call Regal a Triple H stooge. He never did that, but he did make the reference to Regal and NXT and everything. I was waiting for that one. Yeah, Joe got him in this though, and MJF like gets praised a lot on the microphone. I don't feel he wins a lot of these microphone battles. Like he's obviously very good on the mic. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but people cut him just as bad as he gets cut. And you can know he's great at telling these stories. He's got a lot of material to play off of and everything. But people fire back, and maybe it's because everyone else has a lower bar than him, and they're not expecting. I mean, Samoa Joe's very proven on the microphone. I don't know why anybody would doubt, but like Wheeler Yuta did really well firing back at MJF. He 8 miled MJF. Is like, you're gonna make this insult and that insult. Like, okay, cool, buddy. And then MJF just like did that, and it's like, well, Yuta kind of got him there a little bit, and maybe because the bar is just lower for the other opponents, even though the other opponents are guys like CM Punk and Samoa Joe and Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. But maybe because the bar is lower for them, people are surprised when they get the better of MJF. But I thought Joe took this round.
He did. He absolutely did. And Joe's also been around long enough and has had enough mic put down time that he knew where to come from and knew what to say. And stop it. If anything, this was an opportunity for us to remember that, yeah, Joe is just a great talent who knows what he's doing. I just can't wait for them to move on from his television title run in Ring of Honor, because sure as shit ain't doing anything on the show that he's supposed to be on.
He faced Shane Taylor. He faced Shane Taylor.
And now he's probably not going to show up on Ring of Honor TV for another 3 weeks.
I do agree. Bonkers makes this point in the chat, and I said it on Wednesday when the brackets, when half of the brackets were out, I should say. I was like, why we got these losers in this tournament? And that's still where we're at. Like Samoa Joe, okay, he just beat Shane Taylor, but he lost to Punk the week before that. Jeff Hardy, I don't know when he won a match before. Like, when was the last Jeff Hardy win? The last match I remember him in was getting beat up by Jeff Jarrett. Penta just lost to Orange Cassidy. Who's Penta facing? Jay Lethal. Yeah. Jay Lethal. I don't remember the last time he like won like any type of singles match or anything. They always do these predictable like brackets that don't, like, where's Jay White? Jay White ain't earned some title shot. Takeshita, he just beat Kenny Omega. We got to wait till next week for them to reveal a painting. Shout out Mel Coleman. We got to wait to reveal a painting to get his next opponent. He ain't in this thing. It gets the tournament stuff. Just tell the story. You know, I'd honestly just prefer just tell the story instead of you using a tournament to justify a title shot, because the tournament, it ain't worth anything if you don't have the top competitors in it. It's just that, imagine you get like the NBA playoffs, and instead of here's the top 8 teams in the playoffs, it's, hey, here's team number 1 against team number 32. And then team number 1 against team number 16. And then maybe you'll see 1 and 4 meet in the finals. Where was team number 2? They weren't even in the tournament. They just didn't make the cut. So that's what it is.
So 2 things. One, Jeff Hardy's last singles win was May 11th, 2022 in a Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament first round no disqualification match. Who did he defeat?
Darby.
That's right. And I want to look up Jay Lethal too, but I also want to point out, you know that $110 shirt that they're selling for Don Callis?
Yeah, the money goes to Mel, according to Mel.
Buy the stupid shirt because Mel deserves your money. So that's why the shirt's so damn expensive. So we can pay Mel because she's damn good at her job.
We should get Mel on the show. You want to get Mel on the show?
She knows that I have asked her because I asked her to break news on the show. But yeah, that's That's an ongoing conversation I'm trying to have with her. I'm
Okay.
trying to look up the Jay Lethal thing. So Jay Lethal's last singles win was on Rampage, 2023, April 26th.
No idea who Jay Lethal beat that night.
FTR Hair,
Oh,
special
okay.
enforcer Mark Briscoe.
Oh, all right. Yeah, sure.
There you go.
That match happened.
It
So
did happen. So yes, that is a long world apart from what we did. Mel is too good for the show, buddy.
facts.
Yes, but also she's become a dear friend, so I appreciate her.
Well,
fact that she
everybody's too good
her-
for this show.
It's
Like, let's be honest.
Garrett Kidney's too good for this show, but here
Yeah,
we are.
Literally everyone who joins this show is too good for this show. I don't know why people join this show, but for some reason they do. Bless them. I want to talk about the
Sorry, I love this. Clearly, this tournament was an opt-in, and Jay White had something to do when they were taking volunteers.
Rhino. You should have opted in, Rhino. Come on, what were you doing?
He was working on his marina.
I was talking about the Swerve Hangman segment.
Sure, yeah.
We thought Hangman might be in the tournament. He was going to come out, show the fire, tournament Hangman. Here we go. Nope. I honestly didn't really get to say anything. He put over teachers and that they should be paid more, factual. And then Swerve came out. He spent the last 2 weeks in the coffin. Did no one open that for him? Like, everyone knew he was in there.
He saw
but
his
he still
hair
was
hanging
there
out.
for 2 weeks.
They saw his hair hanging out, and they're just like, he's taking a good nap. Just let him
Yeah.
sleep. He needs it. Orange Cassidy comes out at the top of the show, and this man has been saying for months on post pressers, I need a nap. I'm gonna go lie down. And what does he do? Completely goes against his own ideas. He's like, I'm gonna be on the show anyway. And I'm like, you dumb son of a, take the break. You had the time. Sorry, good tangent. Swerve happens things.
I need Swerve in another coffin match. I don't care against who. I need Swerve to win. And then I need Prince Nana dancing around the coffin. That's what I need. I need that. Yeah, like I need it so bad.
The meme with the pallbearers and they're all getting Nana's doing it. Yeah, I'm down with that. Let's do it.
That's what I need. I just give me a random coffin match with Swerve. Make it like Swerve's got to get over his fear of coffins. I don't give a shit who he beats. He can beat one of these losers in the tournament. For all Jay Lethal, he ain't doing anything. Maybe that's healing. Jeff Hardy, put the Hardys in the coffin and let them dance on that.
The problem is Jeff Hardy in a coffin match. Jeff Hardy's gonna win. The man doesn't fear death. Like Jeff Hardy is death basically in like the most peculiar way possible.
Well, put one of the Hardys in there and then have Nana go at it. Oh, he's the man. Love Prince Nana. So anyway. The Swerve promo with Hangman was fantastic because you play off some real life history here. You play off some real life with like, you ain't done anything recently. You're just taking a back seat to the elite. They gave me these opportunities. I'd be the first black AEW champion out here. He took some shots. He took the weight shots at him. Like you just at him. It's like getting a little soft around there. Hangman fired up a little bit, and then before Brian Cage attacked him, I love this program though. I think Swerve, I've said it for a while now, all the star potential in the world. And when I say that, I'm not even talking about on screen, which is obviously a big thing. I'm talking about the stuff like you got to do elsewhere too. I've said that when Swerve first joined AEW, he did a lot of media, and he came across well every single time. I felt he was engaging in every interview. He gave good answers. He gave good stories. He had some good quotables and stuff in there. I was more and more impressed with him each time I listened to him. And again, there was a lot of Swerve interviews when he first came to AEW. I would have liked to see him do more going into All In, honestly, because he really only did that one. I forget maybe it was Up Rocks. But I would have liked to see him do more. He's a guy who could carry the company on television and in like interviews and things like that. So I'm very curious to see where Swerve goes here, because the immediate thought is, well, Hangman can't lose this. Like, you're trying to heat Hangman back up. And I think there's real potential that Hangman can lose this, and it gets him more into the despair of doubt that's out there. And then you tell the story from there of like, you got to continue the adversity, right? You got to continue to tell a story of rebuilding. And I think Swerve needs the win a little bit more. I'm very glad that Hangman is now in a big time singles program again, because I think people kind of got lost in the sauce a little bit. And I don't think AEW did a good enough job on this, but Hangman has a connection with the audience that has not gone away, despite the fact that he's taken a little bit of a backseat. And Hangman's such a good promo. He's so relatable to just a lot of the audience. And people see him as like that day one elite guy. They see him on the level of Kenny and the Bucks and everything. He's not an EVP or anything. And there honestly might be a little bit more to him, because you look at Kenny and the Bucks, like, okay, they were decorated in New Japan and Ring of Honor. They won titles, they headline shows, all of this stuff. Hangman wasn't at that level when he joined AEW. You've really seen Hangman from the ground floor all the way up to when he won the title from Kenny. And I think so there's even more of a connection with Hangman if you're a day one AEW fan or even followed AEW beforehand because of all that. So it's good that Hangman's in a big time program. Swerve, I think, is a strong opponent for him. And I do think Swerve should come out of this the victor and put a little bit more doubt in Hangman.
So for everything you just said about Hangman's journey and his, I don't want to use the word overness because it's not that. It's just the audience's connection is a really good, yes, that's the word that should be used. The connection that he has for everything that Hangman brings to the AEW audience and the crowd, and that connection, he should win. Swerve is the heel. Swerve is the bad guy. Swerve can absolutely eat the L while having a top shelf on the mic feud and having a top shelf in the ring match. Swerve is in that position where this can't happen too often, don't get me wrong, but he can absorb the L. He can take it and he can still move forward. And whoever he goes after next, that could be his big win. But I think this is the beginning of the build for Hangman, and this is a big springboard for him. Good versus evil, very simple story, very straightforward, and people want to cheer Hangman. Like you said, they continue to love him. So why not play into that? Why not give him that first set of boost? Where do you do the match? Do you do it at Wrestle Dream? Because you're going to be in Swerve territory if you do.
Kai says you can get a trilogy out of this, and I don't disagree with that, because yeah, you can do the first match at Wrestle Dream in Seattle. Like, I think that's a good spot to have Swerve win. The next big show is Full Gear. That's a show that, I don't know if people don't know this or forget, named after Hangman and him getting himself in shape to wear full gear. Like, that was the BTE bit. That's why it's named this. So you do the rematch at Full Gear, Hangman wins that match, and then you set up a third match. I mean, the next pay-per-view, I assume by this point we will have a December pay-per-view, because they're doing monthly, it seems, at this point. Maybe it's Winter is Coming but I think Winter is Coming is early December, so it might maybe too early. Like, that's 3 matches in a short period of time. Like, the Moxley feud with Hangman was, I feel, a little bit more stretched out. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll look up like when these matches took place. But a trilogy, this is, Kai's right. Like, this is definitely a feud you get a trilogy out of. There's enough meat. There's enough big shows coming up to where, oh yeah, you can do a trilogy on this. So the concussion match was October 2022. Then they did the rematch at the Forum. That was in January 2023. And then it was basically every month. So yeah, I guess if you want to do October, November, December with Winter is Coming, Swerve and Hangman, you can do that, because January was the rematch between Moxley and Page. Then they did another match in February, and then they did Texas Death at Revolution, which was March.
December is a really hard time to run a pay-per-view, and I think a lot more companies are starting to come around to that fact. It's holiday time, so you have to do it early. You have to do it in the first 2 weeks, or else you kind of lose your audience for the final 2 weeks, because people are traveling or they're just with people, family, whatever it is. And as a result, like everyone's more focused on the wrap up of the year than they are what's going on in the current storyline. Like even WWE just goes on like random, tape.
They don't. Did they have a December pay-per-view last year?
They did Deadline for NXT, but I don't think they did. I think they did a Survivor Series show at the end of November. And even now, there's nothing announced for December 2023 on the WWE calendar. You just go to the Rumble, and that's at the end of January. And that's kind of what I'm getting at is if AEW decides that they want to do an early December pay-per-view, then winter is coming is probably the answer. And there's no, guarantee that that's the plan. You could just make it a big Dynamite match, a big Dynamite blow off, make it the main event of the show, number one contendership, whatever it is, put a stipulation on it. But again, I could see it as a trilogy as well. And that's kind of the way I would do it. But a December pay-per-view is more people have realized it's a tough thing to ask, especially if you're AEW, because now you're asking for $50 going into a pay-per-view, whereas with WWE, it's already part of your, $5 to $10 a month Peacock subscription.
Less pay-per-views is what we need.
Yeah.
I hope they don't do a December pay-per-view, but again, it seems like they're adding stuff. Winter is Coming is still a big show, and this is what concerns me with this is like you're telling me Grand Slam is going to be this big show. It's like, okay, now you got to have something big for Wrestle Dream as well, because why am I going to pay for Wrestle Dream if you just gave me a world title match between potentially MJF and Samoa Joe for free? What do you have in your back pocket that is going to make me buy Wrestle Dream? And they got stuff. They got the wrestlers, certainly. They got the talent. This
is why you potentially flip-flop it, and you have Wrestle Dream be the Samoa Joe match and Roddy be the Grand Slam match.
Oh, Sean.
Hello, Eggman. Happy Friday. Oh, sandwich eggs.
It's a croissant. Yeah, I've worked out a lot this week. I feel like I've earned it. Here I am. Jeremy, who do you have in the main event tomorrow night? Adesanya and Strickland.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what? Oh, I think Adesanya smokes him.
He should.
Yeah.
I mean, listen. I know I've interviewed some questionable people in the past. I'm not calling out any of my media friends, but man, if I were a gay or trans person who adored somebody's work like that, I would be very disappointed that they interviewed Sean Strickland for this fight. And I know why they do it, because MMA coverage is a grind. But the bullshit that I see that guy say, and he got rewarded for it. This wasn't a title shot on merit. He lost twice last year. He is going to get his ass whipped so bad tomorrow. And I am thoroughly excited to see him get his ass kicked. Oliver's
how are you
in
doing?
here. Look at Oliver. Oh,
hi,
buddy.
Oliver.
Just hanging out. Hi.
Yeah.
He's my little
cat
crony.
Somewhere around here. No idea where.
Like if one of my cats laughed at my jokes all the time, it'd be this fella.
My God, you're with a power bomb. This looks like a Dominator you're going for.
He likes being upside down.
Oh, okay. Bless.
He's a big fan of being upside down. He likes when I do this. He'll bend his neck back, and he wants me to flip him.
Look at that. This is straight up Dominator you're doing to this cat.
Show them how I land on my feet. Show them.
Yeah, and look, he just ran back to me. He wants. It's impressive, buddy.
My kid does the same thing with me. I don't drop him on his back, but I do. I don't drop him on his back. I lay him down gently.
I got one who just loves to be power bombed, and so I'll just say, all right, sure, boom.
That's how it works.
Get those reps
hit
in.
him with the power bomb. Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff.
Then if they ever end up in one of the street fight videos I'm watching on Reddit, at least they can protect themselves.
Yeah, exactly. What you got going on today, Sean? It's football weekend. I know you did a late stream last night.
Saw that.
I'm very excited about the Kansas City Chiefs on pace to go 0-17.
Yes.
I just posted a thing, interesting stats. Chiefs has the worst record in the league. Mahomes leads the league in interceptions, most incompletions, pick sixes. Also, he's never beaten Jared Goff.
I appreciate you bringing the stats on that one. I know
your number one overall pick, Jeremy.
Yeah. Jared Goff. He played well. He played well last night. I think we could play receiver for the Chiefs, Sean. That was not great. Not great for them.
I do think Travis Kelce made up more than definitely a 1 point difference there. That was evident.
Yeah.
Based on the fact that, I mean, a couple of those would have put them into field goal range if they just caught the ball. But
there's a great photo of Tony of the what turned out to be an interception. The ball hits him like right in his hands, and the defender's about 10 feet away. And it's like, this was a touchdown for the other team. It's like, that's what happened on this play.
Like, I saw somebody trolling Mahomes, and like, listen, I have my fun, but he's probably the most talented quarterback I've ever seen. And they were like trolling Chris Collinsworth too. They're like, oh, well, it was a great pass by Mahomes, but it went as a pick six. And they were like giving Collinsworth trash. And I was like, no, it was a perfect throw. Like, it was a great throw. He could not have done anything better on that throw. It wasn't his fault, but you'll get that. You'll get that. The Bengals, though, well, that's what we're really here for. We're here to talk about the Bengals.
They got
that
Joe
Burrow got that Joe Pearl deal.
Oh, God bless. Do I get paid now? No, I do. Do I get paid more now?
No, absolutely not.
Damn it.
People gotta start taking pay cuts. You're at the top of the list, Joel.
Probably.
God, choked up.
I need somebody to care about ROH for once. Like, show up on one of those shows. Listen, I am sincerely excited for Impact 1000 next week. Like,
we had Garrett Kidney on earlier. He was
yeah.
He was here talking some Impact. Oh, always great to see.
I'm very excited for that show. I'm a little less excited now that I know that Devon and Bubba Ray signed Legends deals.
So this is what's interesting to me, by the way. WWE is in Uniondale. They're on Long Island during the Impact 1000 tapings. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if there's any chance that Abyss can schlep his ass over to White Plains for an appearance.
That would be incredible.
I think, and
they should.
They had AJ Styles do a sit down for that Slammiversary a couple years ago to have Abyss show up and just do a little something. He doesn't have to get physical. He has to show up.
I would love for him to do a black hole slam or swing Janice at somebody.
Whatever works. I think because of this Legends deal stuff coming out, to me, that read as, okay, maybe there's a chance to play ball here and do a little trade ski and bring in Abyss for a quick little one shot. That'd be fun.
I hope so. Isn't RVD under a Legends deal too?
Yeah, and I think RVD is going to be possibly a Tommy Dreamer tag partner in an Impact 1000 tag match.
Good, because he looked incredible against Jack Perry.
Yeah.
He looked incredible. That was by far the best spinning leg drop I've ever seen him do. And a lot of it was how they shot it. It was very smart. Like, Jack Perry did a good job. Shocking, guys. Jack Perry's good at his job. But Tommy Dreamer.
Know for a little while.
Yeah, I know. I hit up Tommy Dreamer because I'm trying to look at wrestlers who can hit that 7-decade mark. I was like, hey, I don't see any matches on record before like 91, but it says you wrestled in 89. And he's like, yeah, I did. So he's had 80s, 90s, 20s, 10s, and or 2000s, 10s, and 20s. And he was like 18 when he had his first match. And there's nothing I've seen to indicate that he won't be in a battle royal in the 2040s. So
he might lose tonight and be forced to retire, Sean. Let's not. This is not out of the realm of possibility that he loses the Kenny King and has to go and be retired.
If there's one thing the classic mind Tommy Dreamer is not going to do at 52 years old, it's drop his drop his career to 42-year-old uprising star Kenny King. That's my feeling towards that.
Yeah.
Very lengthy on our show.
Star of My Brother and Me, Kenny King, by the way.
Bachelorette superstar. And teamed up with Big Brother Canada superstar Sheldon Jean.
I'll be damned.
There you go. It's the connection of the reality shows.
Jeremy, do you know what the greatest line in the history of My Brother and Me was?
No, I do not.
Oh my God, it's Kendall Gill!
Kendall Gill was legit. People don't need to sleep on Kendall Gill.
I know. It's just a moment in time, though, and it was based in North Carolina. I just love that. Like, today, people would be like, "Huh?" Even let's be real. By 2000, people would have been like, "Huh?" Yeah. But at that point in time, that 3-year window, in Charlotte. There you go.
I'm gonna have to play some 2K here after this and use Kendall Gill.
I'm excited for EA UFC. I had some dork that's like, why are you pretending to be excited for stand and bang mode? I don't know, because there hasn't been a fight night game since 1912. That's why.
Have you played it's called Undisputed? It's a boxing game on like Steam.
Not yet.
That's good. I've been playing it. The roster is kind of shallow. There's no like career mode or anything, but they're continuing to work on it. It is very good though. I got an emulator just for Fight Night to play, like a PS3 emulator just to play Fight Night. Because yeah, that game absolutely fantastic. I saw the trailer for UFC.
Should show me how to do that then.
Okay, we can do that. We can arrange this.
Add it to the list.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for UFC. I'm worried, and Mike Straw said something similar. Like, this is very much the cinematic trailer and not like the full on. This is what you can expect gameplay wise. So I'm gonna wait until that comes out before I get too excited for this game. But I did like the last EA UFC game. That was fun.
Well, I only played the limit of the stand and bang stuff. So yeah. Also, somebody says, "Hit me, hit me." That's what I'm going to be saying, both when I watch My Brother and Me and when I play stand and bang mode. Damn, man.
What about that one guy who's like, all I do are submissions on UFC?
I saw a guy say that, and I'm like, how?
Yeah,
how?
Really. I get annoyed when people like want to take me down, or even like, I won't use like Khabib or something because I'm like, it seems like he's very good and dominant, but I don't know what I'm doing on the ground, and I don't even want to engage in this.
Do you remember Dan Quinn, Jeremy?
Vaguely, yes.
The Stevia guy?
Yeah.
Who would challenge Kimbo, and he would be like, I'll fight you, no kicks, no takedowns.
Right, right.
We always do Dan Quinn rules when we play.
That's what you got to do. That's honestly what you have to do.
I think they should have a thing where you can turn off takedowns, submissions, elbows, knees, punches, kicks individually. Like if you want to have a good old kick fight, you can have a kick fight.
Just a shin kick.
Some golden high level shit right here.
Yeah.
Like they should have a thing. Amazing. Like I think that'd be kind of cool. I think it'd be fun. Somebody says or Pro Wrestling Podcast says PWP versus SRS win. I'm on a NAT Type 2 router, and I can't do crap online for my my PS4 or PS5. That's the one thing that Nord hasn't been able to overcome for me is my NAT type, and I got to work with MetroNet to fix that soon.
Good luck with the Metro Net and trying to get better internet so you can play online. I don't play online regardless. I don't like playing people online. I played Mike Straw and NHL online one time, and that's about the extent of my online. We played 2K. We played NBA 2K as well.
I'm very good at a game called Wreckfest. I don't know how I'm good at it, but I'm very good at it. Better than I am at games that I actually play. It's a demolition derby game. And I am now an old man who does not realize that there is a microphone and a speaker in your controller, and people online can hear you. So
you got to turn that shit off.
I dominated some kid, and the kid in the just sweetest, most innocent voice goes, "Why are you being so mean to me?" And I was like, "'Cause you deserve it." And he's like, "I'm sorry." And I was like, "You know what? I'm sorry." I was like, "I realize you're probably just coming on here to play a fun game, and I'm being mean to you." And then I wrecked him again, and this kid goes, "Oh, I got absolutely ass packed." And I was like, I got worked.
Oh my god, that's fantastic. I was almost expecting to be like, "Do you know who I am?"
I wish. I've never been recognized online, fortunately. Yeah. Oliver, look at this cat.
He's trying to get out.
He wants out.
Yeah.
He always wants next to me, and because I'm talking to you guys, he wants out. So I'm letting him out. I'll see you guys later.
Bye, Sean.
See ya. It's because he wasn't giving him the attention.
Yeah.
You know what my kid does? He goes to the door of whatever room we're hanging out in, and he'll either close the door with or without us in there. And if he closes it fully, he doesn't know how to open the door yet. So he either starts crying about it or like he just locks us both in. And I'm like, well, I guess we're stuck here forever. And then he like comes and, just flops down on the floor and like just rolls around like a little derp kid. Love my kid. But man, sometimes I wonder if he'll be as smart as I want him to be.
Wow, Joel.
I send I send the ITW anonymous general manager photos of him reading, because that's all, like those are all the photos we have are him like reading books, and it's adorable. I love it. I just wonder how much of the reading comprehension will carry. I hope he gets his mom's brain. Put it like that. His mom's smarts.
Well, I can't read, so he's already ahead of me. So bless your kid. He's got to put up with you. That's unfortunate.
Tell me about it. He's
Truthfully.
I assume he just mashes. I assume you just mash the keyboard to get the desired effect of whatever you're working on story wise.
More or less. Yeah, I just type stuff and hope it is readable and legible and comes out okay. That's largely what happens. Yeah.
Well, we got 10 minutes left. What do we want to talk about?
Anything else from Dynamite? I don't know. Is there anything else you wanted to hit?
So a couple things that were funny to me. One was at the end, just like Impact, AEW can only go 99%, not 100. I loved Excalibur being like, see you on Friday for Collision. I was just like, no. Okay, here we go. M fade to black. I had a good laugh about that. That's not a slight on Excalibur. I just had a good chuckle. And the other one was, this one was weird. The Darby Allin Nick Wayne match. Darby grabs the microphone and he says, hit me. And Tony Schiavone's just like, I don't think I've ever seen that in a wrestling match. And I'm like, it happens all the time. It happened in AEW. I know it has. And no one wants to correct them.
Even if you don't like grab the mic and say, hit me, they just do the trade strike standoff. Like it's the same principle. It's just Darby just decided to get on the mic and say it.
I'm looking at it. I'm just like, really, Tony? Like it happened in WCW. I know it happened. Why are we
it was interesting to see Nick Wayne kind of be the bully in that match, because he typically is not just size and stature and role and everything. He's typically the underdog, but yeah, him fighting from the top there, and Darby as usual being the underdog was an interesting little role reversal. That was a good match. Can throw any of these guys out there, have a good match. People are talking about Toni Storm. Yeah, she rules. Absolutely rules.
There's who was it? I think maybe it was Sean and Alex talking about the idea of Juice and Tony sitting at home coming up with wrestling promos. And honestly, if you're gonna pick anyone's brain about how to be a crazy person in wrestling, Juice Robinson's probably the best possible person to do that with. And I just loved, I love what she's doing, and I know everyone else has put her over, rightfully so. She got the sweet spot this past Wednesday when she did the chin up, tits out, and watch for the shoe. And it was all in the eyes. That's what it was to me. It was all in the eyes and the inflection on shoe, and Renee did her job perfectly, as she does. I was so happy with that.
At some point, she's gonna hit Renee with this shoe, and it's gonna
there once,
and it's gonna be hilarious in much the same way in Trish hitting Zoe with the chair the other week on Raw. It's like, even though Toni Storm and Renee are not alive, it's an accident, but like it's just a happy, funny accident. And how Renee hopefully she doesn't get hurt first off. But how Renee sells it will be something else. But yeah, Toni Storm was great. We got another women's 4-way to determine the number one contender. We love we love a good number one contenders 4-way or tournament or battle royal. We love it.
I saw, Nyla and Tony are in that match. Who were the other two? I keep forgetting.
Sheeta and Britt. You just run back the same people and just, replace whoever the champion isn't.
Who wins this? Sheeta?
I think they go Sheeta, and Sheeta gets her one-on-one match against Saraya at Grand Slam. I think that's what it should be. Britt wouldn't surprise me. Tony, I'm all for putting the belt on her, for being honest, but I think it's going to be Sheeta, and she gets the one-on-one match against Saraya.
Yeah, it feels like that. And then Wrestle Dream, because they're doing the crossover with New Japan, they'll be like, look at our Japanese talent champion. She's going to face either someone from Stardom or they're just going to do the match against Toni Storm at Wrestle Dream, which I wouldn't hate because, again, Toni Storm does have a connection to Stardom from back in the day, and they've used that before as an excuse to have Toni on the Forbidden Door 1 card. That's what they used. So I wouldn't hate it, but Toni Storm is just doing incredible character work, which is something that, I would argue she has been trying to do for so long, and for some reason this one just clicked. And one of the reasons why this works is just because it's built. Sorry, I'm losing my words because it's so late now. Late being noon. She's using she's building her catchphrase by building to it, right? The shoes and then the tits out. Yeah.
Yeah. You are implying here that Shida is winning the title at Grand Slam.
I am implying that, yes.
Okay. A
year after Saraya makes her debut at Grand Slam, drops that title.
Wesley says Shida is heading back to Japan. Yeah, she is going back today, but she'll be back in time for Wednesday's Dynamite. I could be wrong. I truthfully have not kept up on it. Maybe she does have some type of booking in Japan that's going to take her out of something. Oh, you know what? Now that I look at it, I cannot read Japanese. It looks like she might be advertised for something on September 22nd, which would take her out of Grand Slam. So there you go.
What's she advertised for?
Some show. I don't understand a lot of the Japanese promotion and things,
yeah.
so I'm not going to pretend to, but she's on the poster for this show, Evil Ecstasy, which is September 22nd. So, all right, now I'm off the Shida winning this because I think Grand Slam is the 22nd, right? Or is it when is
the 20th?
Okay, so
20th.
Technically she could win and then fly back to Japan the next day, do that show, be back for Wrestle Dream. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that she does win. I can understand why people may be like, oh, it seems a little less likely, but you could fly in on a Thursday, do the thing on the Friday, and then go from there. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
Sorry, which show are you looking at? Is it the Wave Pro show? Because that's the one she's going in for. Where's this 22nd show?
It's her pinned tweet, Joel.
Oh, that was the pinned tweet. I just saw a lot of Japanese. I thought it was a movie thing.
No.
Oh yeah, Wave Pro. There you go. 9/22. Oh yeah, she can go back and forth.
Yeah,
she can go back.
Yeah, that's on a Friday, so it's possible that but maybe that does take her out of potentially winning the match. We will find out next week. Tune into Dynamite. Tune into AEW Dynamite next week, everybody. We have a tremendous show for everyone. We have a women's fatal 4-way #1 contenders match between former champion, one of the best champions of all time, Hikaru Shida, another former champion, Britt Baker, another one of the best champions of all time. Britt Baker will be in the match. Another former champion as well, Nyla Rose, will be in the match. And another former champion, everybody. It is 4 former champions in this match. And the winner will face Saraya at AEW Grand Slam. Toni Storm is the 4th former champion. Again, the winner will face Saraya at Grand Slam in this fatal 4-way match. You know what else is on the show on AEW Dynamite next week? Next week, Joel, September 13th, AEW Dynamite live on TBS at 8 p.m. Eastern. We have the trilogy match, the rubber match between Brian Cage and Hangman Adam Page. We have a big feud between those two men. We have the AEW Grand Slam title tournament finals. Who's it going to be? We got big matches tonight on AEW Rampage at 10 p.m. Eastern on TNT. We have big matches tomorrow on AEW Collision at 8 p.m. Eastern on TNT. Who will be there? Samoa Joe, Roderick Strong, Jeff Hardy, Jay Lethal, Penta El Zero Miedo, Darby Allin. 2 of those men will be there in the AEW Grand Slam title eliminator tournament finals on AEW Dynamite on September 13th. Tune in, everybody. It's going to be a tremendous show.
Will you be attending the Cleveland Collision? Was it big enough for you?
No, I'm not trying to spoil anything because the spoilers are out there, but we're getting Joe and Penta, which isn't a spoiler. Like, it's very obvious based on the brackets, right? Sorry if I spoiled Rampage for
Can't
everybody.
believe you gave up the Lethal giving up his title shot to Jeff Jarrett storyline.
So we're getting Joe and Penta, which is a good match. I like that. That'd be pretty fun. Darby and Roddy, these are good matches. I don't have anything against these matches, but a Danielson promo, I needed a Danielson match. That's what would have sold me. I needed a match. Moxley, like I've seen Moxley wrestle enough. Him in a glorified squash against Action and Andretti ain't doing a whole lot for me. Bullet Club Gold, they're wrestling. That's fine. Acclaimed, talk like. It seems like it'll be a fine show, but nothing that like I'm really excited. I've seen these guys wrestle. That's the other thing is like I needed something. I needed one of my favorites to wrestle, and that's really just Bryan Danielson. Give me an Orange Cassidy match, like a banger Orange Cassidy match. I would have been happy with that. So yeah, not going to the show in Cleveland. I will be my fatherly duties instead of go to AW Collision. But it's going to be a tremendous show, everybody, at 8 p.m. Eastern on TNT.
What if Danielson has a match in Cincinnati? I know that's a further drive for you.
That one's going to be tough. I feel like Sean might go to that show. I don't know.
I think you would.
Yeah.
That feels like it's going to be a Mox heavy show, or whatever the Action Andretti thing does. It's going to set up his next title match for Dynamite, potentially the main event.
I don't know if we're going to see Danielson too much on Dynamite unless it's a pre-tape thing moving forward. He's got kids, man. Kids will take you out of that weekday grind there, put you on the weekend. So
hey, tell me about it. I'm the guy who's looking up flights to Grand Slam where I can go drop off my kid at daycare, go down to the Island Airport in Toronto, get a flight to probably to Newark, and then show up on Friday to pick up my kid from daycare after. Stop it. Stop doing that. Anyway, fatherly duties are important for the fathers out there.
Yeah. So I don't know if you're gonna see Danielson too much on Saturdays or on Wednesdays moving forward. Seems like Collision's gonna be his show, which is good. He deserves it. Give Bryan Danielson everything.
You know what's really funny, by the way? You've got AW Dynamite and Rampage Grand Slam, and then Collision is in Grand Rapids that Saturday.
Oh, I hope they play off of that.
I hope they do too. Anyway, let's get on out of here. I think we're done for today. A lot of wrestling on this weekend. Myself and Cresta Star will be somewhere talking about Victory Road, Impact's big show tonight. So go check that out. It'll either be on the main Fightful channel or it'll be here on Overbooked. Jeremy, what else is happening?
Yeah, watch the Impact show tonight. I'm legitimately looking forward to it. I know I do bits and stuff, but I think this is a strong lineup for Impact. I cannot watch it live. If I could, I would. I'd probably be covering it, but I am doing fatherly things tonight, so I'll catch Impact Victory Road after the fact. But it does look like a very good lineup. The rest of the weekend, hopefully, it's honestly a down weekend especially compared to the last 2 weekends. Like, enjoy these little down periods here, everybody. Because I don't know if anybody else is getting burnt out on wrestling. If you haven't, God bless you. But there's been a lot these past few weeks. So take that time for yourself. Take that time with friends and family. And so you don't have to be glued to an AEW event or a WWE event or an NXT event or an Impact event, even though Impact's tonight. Like, take the time away this weekend and have fun. Next week, everybody, a week from today is my birthday. Joel Pearl is going to deliver the greatest show of all time. Okay. He's promised me. I've talked to, again, multiple sources on this, that Joel Pearl has big things planned for my birthday. So I want everybody to tune in next week as Joel Pearl gives the Jeremy birthday bash. I think I called it something else last time. I think it was called like the Beb. But regardless, the big extreme birthday bash is what's going to happen.
Use that. That was an ECW show. We can't.
No, I think that was big ass birthday bash.
It was the big ass extreme bash. We can't use it. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, regardless, Joel's going to throw a giant party for me next week. It's going to be our best episode of all time next week. Thanks to Joel Pearl. He's going to come through for once on this show. He's going to come through for me. He's going to come through for you people. And he's going to have a great show next week. My birthday next week. Do you know how old I'll be next week, Joel Pearl?
Old enough?
35. That's a big milestone.
For whom?
I don't know. That's the Kevin Durant number. Fuck Kevin Durant, but that's his number.
Well, I'm glad we got through that.
Yeah. So big episode a week from today, everybody. The Jeremy birthday celebration, the JBC, everyone. Get ready next week. Otherwise, Fightful Overbooked. Subscribe, follow the channel, support all the shows that we do. Appreciate y'all. And we'll be back on Monday. Monday.
We might even have a guest. We'll find out on Monday. Stop it.
Everyone, you know what you should do this weekend, everyone, instead of watch wrestling? Get you an Uzi this weekend. All right, everybody? Get you an Uzi.
I'm Joel Pearl, JOELPERL. Ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary. We'll see you on Monday. Enjoy the weekend.